Then the blasts began. Across the nation, Hezbollah issued pagers transformed from simple communication devices into deadly weapons. The explosions ripped through the streets, leaving behind a trail of carnage and chaos. 9 confirmed dead, nearly 3,000 injured. The attack sent shockwaves through Lebanon, a nation already scarred by years of conflict. The message was clear: Hezbollah, a powerful political and militant group, was vulnerable. This wasn't a random act of violence. This was a coordinated attack, surgically precise in its execution. The explosives, meticulously concealed within the pagers, detonated almost simultaneously. The blast radius, though devastating, appeared calculated. It was a message, not just an attack. This act of terror struck at the very heart of Hezbollah's operational capacity, exposing a critical weakness in their communication network. Immediately, fingers pointed to Israel. The Jewish state, locked in a perpetual struggle with Hezbollah, had the motive, the means, and the history for such a daring operation. While Israel remained characteristically silent, neither confirming nor denying their involvement, the world watched, waiting for the inevitable escalation. The pager explosions marked a turning point in the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. It was a stark demonstration of Israel's willingness to strike deep within enemy territory, even at the risk of significant civilian casualties. The world held its breath, bracing for Hezbollah's response. This was far from over. The aftermath of the explosions was a scene of utter devastation. The air, thick with smoke and dust, carried the stench of explosives and the cries of the injured. Emergency responders, overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the attack, raced against time to pull survivors from the rubble and tend to the wounded. Hospitals, already stretched thin by years of conflict and economic hardship, were pushed to their breaking point. Doctors and nurses worked tirelessly, their faces etched with exhaustion and grim determination as they battled to save lives. The dead, their bodies mangled beyond recognition, served as a grim testament to the brutality of the attack. Among the casualties were not only Hezbollah fighters, but also innocent civilians, caught in the crossfire of a conflict that seemed to have no end. Families were torn apart, their homes reduced to rubble, their lives shattered by an act of violence they could not comprehend. The attack served as a stark reminder of the human cost of the seemingly intractable conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. The pager explosions left an indelible mark on the Lebanese psyche. The nation mourned its dead, even as it grappled with the knowledge that the worst might be yet to come. Hezbollah, their pride wounded, their people targeted, would not remain silent. Retaliation, swift and merciless, was all but assured. The accusations came swiftly and with unwavering certainty. Hezbollah, their voice a mix of fury and grief, pointed the finger squarely at Israel. Hassan Nasrallah, the group's charismatic and battle-hardened leader, addressed the nation, his words broadcast across the Arab world. He spoke of treachery, of cowardice, of an act of war that would not go unpunished. Israel, he declared, had crossed a line. They had targeted not just Hezbollah fighters, but innocent civilians, women and children, in a blatant act of terrorism. This was not a war against Hezbollah, Nasrallah thundered, but a war against Lebanon, against the Arab people. He vowed revenge, swift and terrible, a response that would shake the Zionist entity to its core. The international community, caught between condemnation and a desire to prevent further escalation, struggled to formulate a coherent response. The United States, Israel's staunchest ally, offered condolences for the loss of life, but stopped short of condemning the attack. The Arab League, their rhetoric fiery but their actions limited, called for an emergency